Hello, everyone. Steve Wyss here, and I'm joined by Kevin Harper, and we're here to preview the T20 Cricket World Cup final between England and Pakistan from the MCG in Melbourne. Kev, it's been a very interesting tournament, but we're kind of finishing on a note where we almost began with difficult weather conditions, which we're going to come to soon. But how do you reflect on this tournament overall?
Betting-wise, frustrating one. Cricket-wise, fairly good. Could have been a bit better. Like you say, the weather's been a bit of a nonsense. It's not really helped. I think the tournament's got better the longer it's gone on, as a tournament should do, I suppose. But yeah, the weather's frustrated everyone, hasn't it? It's frustrated us as punters, frustrated those who want to watch the games, and those who are attempting to win the tournament. And as you're about to show, certainly isn't going to change now.
We are at the MCG in Australia, the biggest cricket ground in Australia, probably the biggest in the world, actually. And the stadium's not the problem. Well, it is kind of. It was interesting that I actually saw someone say, well, why can't they use the stadium nearby that's got a roof on? And you said this a few weeks ago, but apparently it's logistically impossible now. But MCG, a big stadium, fairly long boundaries either side. We know it's got a bit of pace and bounce in it at the moment with the previous groundsman, the Wacker, now in charge here, although quite how much of that he can get into this strip at the moment because there's been plenty of rain around. Fundamentally, though, Kev, I mean, the outfield itself, we know that's had a lot of draining issues in this Cricket World Cup. There's not going to be much along the ground here, is there?
No, there isn't, no. I mean, logistically, I understand what they're saying, but if this first day's washed out, surely they're better off to have a behind closed doors reserve day game down the road where the roof is, rather than just sharing the trophy. That's, to me, that seems like a load of bollocks, that does. So yes, I understand fans would miss out in that situation, but at least we would get to watch a final, and at least we would get a winner. No one wants to share a trophy. I mean, the two teams won't want to share the trophy. It's just a nonsense. So something's got to be done about that. I understand that they want to play in front of a huge MCG crowd, and I understand why the final should be at the MCG, unlike the group games, which didn't have to be there. But, ultimately, you want a winner of a tournament, and if you've got a stadium down the road that's got a roof, if some fans have to miss out, some fans have to miss out. COVID showed us that the world has to still go on, doesn't it? But, I mean, that's what it is. Yeah, you're absolutely right with regards to the pitch, Steve. He's not going to have done too much in the way of work here, is he? It's going to be a similar pitch to the ones that we've had, probably an underprepared one, probably going to have lots of moisture in it. The outfield, whilst drainage isn't a problem, still probably going to be fairly damp. And as you can see there, that's assuming we can get any kind of game of cricket on at all.
Yeah, there's a big problem here, unfortunately, at the MC in Melbourne. 7 p.m. kickoff time, local weather, there's a 28% chance of rain. But really, and you can see here, this is the rain graph here, the blue line, the light blue line. It's basically over 50% the whole day. And, okay, it does get a little bit lower in the evening. But still, anything over, towards the 50% mark suggests to me we might get a bit of play in. The rules are we've got to get at least a 10-over game in. At least 10 overs for the batting side, and at least, both sides batting, basically. And it might continue into Monday. That's what will happen. If say, the match is, 10 overs on Sunday, and then 2 overs, and then rain, we start Monday on the resuming chase. It could get a bit ridiculous, actually, to be brutally honest with you. And this sharing of the trophy, imagine if India and Pakistan were in the final. I mean, it'd be absolute anarchy, wouldn't it? So, very difficult. It's a shame from a sporting perspective, but also probably from a betting perspective as well. But I guess all we can do, perhaps from a betting point of view, is be cautious. And maybe, who knows, weather forecasts can change. So we do have some picks for you, of course, coming up. But we're also going to assess the teams as well. England are the favourites to win this game at 1.62. And, we said in the last episode against India that we thought that they would do well against India, and they got the job done. But even better than I think either of us thought, a complete battering of India. And England looked like they started like a slow burner in this tournament, but they got better and better and better.
They have, yeah. The concern would be that the two openers have done pretty much all of the work in the last two matches, 3 matches really, if you include the New Zealand one. So if they were to go sort of cheaply, what's the form like of those below them? Obviously, we know that Phil Salt hasn't had a bat in the tournament. Ben Stokes, whenever he's been at the crease, looked a bit scratchy. Liam Livingstone, Moeen Ali, Sam Curran, they haven't really contributed with bat. Harry Brook likewise. So that would be a concern. But, you are asking two of the gun openers in world cricket both to fail at the same time. And, the last 3 games have suggested that they're not neither of them are going to, let alone both of them.
In terms of matchups for this game, do you see Pakistan having much of an edge over England in certain areas?
No, not really. I don't think certainly haven't got the edge over them with the bat, have they? That is for certain. England cover every team in this tournament with the bat, particularly when the openers are going as well as they are. Yes, Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan came good against New Zealand, but their batting runs out far too quickly for my liking. They might have the slight edge on England with the ball, but I don't think it's a discernible one. Maybe in these conditions, someone like Shaheen Shah Afridi could do some damage, but then, on the other side of that, England have got plenty of swing bowlers themselves. So, no, I don't really see where Pakistan have the edge. They certainly don't have the edge in the field. No, I think England are, if not comfortably, the better side here. They just, all of their key players are kind of right for the situation, I think.
If this match is a reduced overs game, as we probably expect it to be, does that help England or make the match potentially closer?
Yeah, it helps England. They've got 2 of the most explosive openers in world cricket. They've got a couple of the most explosive middle order players in world cricket in Moeen Ali, Liam Livingstone. And then I've got Ben Stokes who can do the job as well. And also the fewer overs that you need to worry about from Shaheen Shah Afridi, Haris Rauf, et al., the better. So, yeah, shortened game certainly helps England, that is for sure.
Well, we're going to have a couple of bets for the game. The first one is at Bet365, under 328.5 runs, a 4-unit pick. Now, it must be stated that this would have to be a full match for this bet to win. So if there's even any overs reduced at all, then it would be a void bet. But if it did go the distance, you certainly don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. No,
and you will get paid out if the first innings is low enough that the over can't come in. So you could get away with a full 20 over innings, and let's say whoever it is who bats score 150, so that the under can't lose. You'll get paid out then, whether the whatever happens after then. So that's a positive to taking the under. Whereas obviously, if you took the over, you'd need to wait for all the runs to come along.
That's interesting. I didn't actually forgot about that rule. Yeah, fair.
I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game, Steve. I didn't think it'd be a high-scoring game before all the rain came along. I still don't think it'll be a high-scoring game. If you look back at previous matches here, they've all been fairly low-scoring. I suppose the higher one would have been that India-Pakistan game, but that was only as high-scoring as it was because of that crazy last over where, a free hit went for 6, and then another free hit the stumps and went for another 3, and all this, just carnage happened. And even then, it didn't cover this line. So, we've seen all through the tournament when the ground's been used that there's pace, there's bounce in this wicket. It's not easy to score runs. I expect the outfield to be sluggish. The boundaries here are still big, even though they bring them in for all the razzmatazz. It still takes some hitting. And outside of the 2 sets of openers, I'm still not convinced that there's much in the way of form with the bat. There's definitely form with the ball. Conditions going to be fantastic for bowling. The stands at this ground are absolutely astronomical. So the ball swings here, whenever, let alone when it's damp and overcast. So I expect the ball to dominate the bat here, Steve. And this run line looks just a bit too high. I mean, you need a first innings of sort of 163, don't you, for the over to have any chance of landing. And that just fills out. I mean, it fills out on the whole competition as a whole. It's only really Sydney and Adelaide that have peppered this sort of run line, and this is not Sydney and it's not Adelaide. So, under for me. If we get, any semblance of a full match, I will be very, very surprised if it's a high-scoring game. It is a final as well, after all. So if there is a 20-over game, a full 20-over game, and someone does score, say, for example, 170 in the first innings, there is such a thing as scoreboard pressure, because those runs will need to be chased down, and they'll need to chase them down to win a tournament. They're not chasing them down just for 2 group points. They're chasing them down for all the marbles. And these 2 batting lineups could get into a bit of trouble quite easily. So definitely under on the runs for me.
Yeah, I think even if it was really dry conditions and, a heat wave, belter of a pitch, I think the MCG, it's not easy to get big runs. It's as simple as that. Just one other selection for the game, a bigger price one here on Chris Woakes, man of the match, 25 to 1 at Betway for 1 unit. It would be a nice way to finish the tournament off if he could have a good game here. You think that this conditions will suit the England all-rounder?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're hoping that Sam Curran runs through this team like a laxative through the human body, but obviously, he's probably out of reach, isn't he, Hasaranga? So we're hoping for a place with Curran. But these would appear to be perfect conditions for Chris Woakes. I can't believe the ball's not going to swing. I would imagine that Josh Buttler will bowl him 3 overs up front in the power play for 2 reasons. One, he's not the greatest death bowler in the world anyway, and he's got Sam Curran, and he'll have Chris Jordan to bowl at the death. And the other one is because the 2 gun wickets in this side are right at the top. Mohammad Rizwan, Babar Azam. If you get them 2 out, you haven't won the game, but you're a hell of a long way down the road to winning the game. So I would imagine Woakes will bowl 3 overs in the power play, unless, of course, he gets carted, in which case he's not going to be man of the match anyway. If he gets carted early, but those 2 openers, they don't really set the world alight to begin with. Their sort of runs come between over 7 and sort of 14. That's when they really start getting on with it. If they're still at the crease, that was the case against New Zealand. Pakistan started fairly slowly, built up their momentum, and then floundered a bit towards the end, but had already done the job.
Well, yeah, if you remember that game I took the first over runs against Zimbabwe, did they even get a run? Maybe
exactly
1
that.
run.
It's very much their modus operandi to play themselves in. There's 2 reasons why they do that. One, neither of them are the biggest hit of the ball in the world anyway. And 2, as I mentioned a minute ago, their batting runs out in terms of genuine batting, as in batsman batting rather than all-rounder batting. Their batting runs out at about 5 when Shadab Khan comes in. So they can't really go gun-ho right from the top, unlike England, who bat right the way down. So if they lose a couple of wickets, they just brush it off and crack on. Swinging conditions. Chris Woakes is ideal to swing the ball, even in Australia, actually. He's actually bowled a lot better in this tournament, Steve, than his figures would suggest. One of the reasons why he hasn't picked up too many wickets is because, teams just haven't really been going after him at the top. If England bat first, put a score on the board, then Pakistan can't just sit there in their shell. So if the ball's swinging, Chris Woakes can target that outside edge, and he can take a couple of scalps with him. And if he can get 2 or 3 at the top, particularly those 2 kingpins, then there's a man of the match waiting for someone, isn't there? Particularly if it is a low-scoring game.
Let's have a look then at the top batsman market for Pakistan and England. We'll start with Pakistan. I mean, is it the top 2 that you're looking at, or are you thinking they might get knocked over here? So we're looking at a bit of value in the middle order.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be on the top 2, Steve. If you go back to that India game, they were both gone before the end of the first over, weren't they? So, and also in that Zimbabwe game, they were gone pretty early doors. 2 similar pitches to the one that they're going to play on here. I'd be looking down the order for someone to come in and try and get a cameo against Curran and Jordan. I mean, if you look to the semi-final against India, that's what happened, wasn't it? India went nowhere for the first 12, 13, 14 overs, and then Hardik Pandya just chanced his arm and came good. That brings sort of the likes of Shadab Khan, Mohammad Nawaz into play, Kushdil Shah if he plays, Asif Ali if he plays. I mean, it's interesting there. There's a bit of money for Mohammad Waseem. I think he bats a little bit too far down for that to land. But ultimately, it's two different situations here, isn't there? There's a 20-over innings and a potential 10-over innings. If it's a 10-over innings, you want to be someone a little bit further up the innings. If it's a 20-over innings, you could probably take a chance on someone down the innings. But until we know either way, you can't really get involved.
It is difficult, and it's the same real situation with England, isn't it? Although in this case, the 2 openers are batting so well that it might be hard to make a case to go against either of them.
Yeah, I'm not sure both fail, Steve. I would say that. I wouldn't be surprised if one do, just purely because Shaheen Shah Afridi is a gun. But I mean, Alex Hales has played in the Pakistan Super League for as long as I can remember, and he has a mighty fine record in that competition. And all of these bowlers have come from the Pakistan Super League. Josh Buttler doesn't play in that tournament as often. He plays in the Indian Premier League more, so maybe he'll be caught a little bit cold. The other thing to factor in, Alex Hales played most of the 7-game series that these two played in Pakistan last month. So he'll also have been used to the bowlers there. Josh Buttler was injured for that series. He didn't play any of that series. So maybe it's Buttler that fails, but Hales that doesn't. And I suppose it's fitting when there's rain all around Melbourne that a hailstorm comes to the party and solves the problem. The other one to look at would be Moeen Ali. He had a brilliant series against Pakistan in Pakistan. A lot of that was motivation from that being the country of his birth, but and where his family heritage is and things. But he hasn't got going in this tournament, Moeen Ali, and there's possible doubts that he bats a little bit too low anyway. So, yeah, I wouldn't look too far below Alex Hales. He ticks a lot of boxes, played the Pakistan Super League, went very well in that series against Pakistan, and is a big bash regular and was regularly played on this ground. So, and also just clubbed India halfway around Adelaide. So, yeah, he'd be my selection, particularly in a shortened game. I mean, in a shortened game, 3-1 on a guy where there's only going to be 4 or 5 batters, happy days. But that Pakistan attack is to be respected, so I'm happy to leave that alone too.
Yeah, interesting stuff. I mean, Hales is the sort of guy when he's tails up, it tends to stay out for a while, doesn't it? And I do remember him. You're right. He's been playing that Pakistan Super League for a long time. He's one of the sort of champions of that country. You know, trying to get cricket back to it. I think at various different stages. So he's obviously, very experienced against these Pakistan bowlers, which might be crucial. As good as he might know that he has to respect them a bit early on. And that can be just as important. So let's go on to a recap. Then we've got 2 bets for the game, and those are under 328.5 runs at Bet365 for 4 units. Chris Woakes man of the match, 25-1 for a unit at Betway. Kev, who's going to win this match? Or are we going to get a joint winner of the tournament? If we could actually get a joint winner of the tournament if we don't get enough overs played over 2 days.
Well, if we get a game of cricket, then England will win the game of cricket. But like you say, if we don't, then we'll get a ridiculous share of the trophy, and we all go to the West Indies in a couple of years' time to see who battles it out for the title down there. Hopefully, in the West Indies, there won't be no rain anyway. So at least in 2 years' time, we'll get a winner. If we don't get a winner, Sunday/Monday. Just one word for everyone watching. This is an 8 a.m. start on Sunday, but if it goes to Monday, I have no reason why anyone absolutely has no value for our sleep whatsoever. It will start at 4 a.m. UK time on Monday. So be aware of that. Don't get up at 8 a.m. on Monday and expect to see the final on its reserve day, because it'll have already been finished by then. It's 4 a.m. on Monday, 8 a.m. on Sunday.
Well, I know it's. Why do I get a feeling this is going to end in a shambolic double winner, shared winner fiasco with that forecast? But I say I don't see any play on Monday anyway. I think if we get a result, it's Sunday and Sunday only. So they'd almost be better off just agreeing at the toss. Let's make it a 10 over game. But obviously you can't do that. Or straight away. But
or selecting 50,000 fans from the crowd, popping down the road and playing it in a proper cricket ground.
Yeah, makes sense, right? But sometimes common sense doesn't prevail. But anyway, we thank you, Kev, for your thoughts throughout the whole tournament. It's been a challenging one, certainly from a betting perspective. We've still got a couple of outrights, certainly one outright. We're hoping to get a big, potentially we could still have an 80-1 winner. You never know. But hopefully we can get a good place for Sam Curran there if he takes 3 wickets. So, or 2, in fact, for a shared place. But thanks for your thoughts on the competition, and I hope you've enjoyed the videos, everyone. Thanks very much for the likes and subscribes and the comments on Twitter. And who knows when we will be back cricket-wise? Maybe in the new year. There is another Cricket World Cup next year. There's the IPL, of course, and you're never that far away from an Ashes series either. So all the best to you, Kev, and thanks very much.
You're welcome, Steve. Yep, 2023 IPL, Ashes, 50 over World Cup. So much to cover, and I'm sure we'll do some of it.
Absolutely right. Well, thanks, everyone. Take care. Best of luck for the final, whatever you're taking bets-wise, and enjoy it if there's any cricket. So see you around, and goodbye.